Good morning, everybody. It is Wednesday. This is our show, Access Denied, where not only do we talk about the issues, but we're listening right from parents who, have kids in the school system. But today is a special day. We have some really good topics to talk about as we think about legislation that impact our kids, as we think about the new student funding formula that was just announced last week, as we think about alternative education is coming, as we wrapped up Black History Month, as we go into Women's History Month, and with the weather being in the 70s, it is a beautiful day to discuss public education in Tennessee. How you doing today, Sonya?
I'm doing good. I'm sorry. Somebody just sent me a text and I don't know what it was, but it was funny. Uh, real. um, I'm doing good. It is beautiful outside.
Yes.
Um, and I actually sat in my car for like 30 minutes after I took CJ to school. And I just kind of lost myself just sitting
Mhm.
there.
It's been a good week. Today is Wednesday. Monday was busy for us. Tuesday, just communicating with our team. Monday, we had our speaker series where you were actually on a panel, parent meetings, and so education is alive and well. But it's as I started off with, it's a lot going on, which we'll dig into. But want to give a shout out to I see Ms. Moffin always checking in, our Nashville Propel powerful parent leader who was at the Capitol with us. Thank you for that, ma'am. Last Wednesday, Miss Sherry Lucas, who is, not only talking to our parents, but is actually digging in with parents and working and tutoring parents. And so not only talking the talk, but walking the walk. Thank you for checking in. And everybody else, share it on out. Let us know you here. I know Miss Sherry Lucas says she on a lunch break for a new job. That's what I'm talking about. We're gonna speak life.
Congratulations. And you are right. I got that upset rock. It's always losing sleep, Sherry. You already know.
Mm. See, we got Thomas checking in. And so one of the things that I want to jump into, and we'll go into the article. And so last Thursday, after months and months of meeting and committees and subcommittees, in Tennessee, we have had the funding formula, which is the BEP, which is the Basic Education, either plan or program. It's been around for at least 30 years. And the way the funding goes, no one could ever really explain it unless you had a serious expert who really dug into how the formula works. And so last Thursday, there was a big announcement. They have figured some things out where they're retooling the formula. And some of the things we want to talk about is we want parents to know how things will be weighted, um, whether it's on an educational level, on a social economic level. But I think it's important to check this out and know, because for some places it's going to be more funding, and for some places it's going to be less funding, just based on the current numbers. And Sonya, when you saw it, I know you had a call, talking to some of the stakeholders. Like, what were some of the things running through your mind?
Um, I always question everything. I question everybody so I can get to the truth.
Mm-hmm.
I first started off with questions, and my first question, at that time and still remains to be true, is how will we ensure that we have great outcomes for students? And I'm still questioning, and that's what popped up in my mind. That's what continues to resonate with me. You can have all the money in the world, and money is good. Like, money make a lot of things happen, but we got to make sure it happens, and we got to make sure the thing that is happening benefits children. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what is at top of mind for me.
Yeah, and the thing that we say, it's not just about the money. We always see, it's a show that comes on that talks about people who have won the lottery, and then unfortunately they go back to the same status of zero in a matter of a couple years, because it wasn't, money didn't change their lives like habits, right? Like plans and goals like change people's life when they get money and they grow their money. But just having the money, it can put you in a circle. The joke right now. It's tax time. People be like, find your boo. It's tax time. It's because tax time. It's a lot of times where people get the tax money, they enjoy it, they ball out, and they get cars. Sometimes might not even be the best car because they know they need a car. But then in 3 months, I'm just saying what Facebook be telling me. They say the money be gone.
Yeah, it's about what you're gonna do with the money.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's the determination that it's gonna take to make sure it's the mindset change. It is developing a moral compass and having the money is having a plan and executing and implementing the things that need to happen to move the needle for children. That is equally important to money. And it's so funny because there's a particular board member that's going around saying this group saying we don't need any money. Nobody said that. But that's what people focus on when they can't do the latter part, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you really don't know what to do with the money, then you say stuff like it's weak.
Mm-hmm.
It's weak and powerless. And so I think that it's not too much to ask for us to ask them, what are you going to do with the money?
Yeah, and to be honest, Sonya, like that stuff goes right over my head because when you talk to real people, it was pizza day at the lunchroom at my child's school. And so just talking to the lunch lady, like the pizza day just brought me back those little square pizzas. It was never any real leftovers on those days because we were tearing it up. But I was asking the cafeteria people, they was like chicken went up from $8 to $16, bread went from here to here, like everything is going up, right? But they were like, our salaries have not gone up. And so with all the influx of money, we talking about people, right, who got kids who go to our schools. And she was like, I don't know what we're going to do. She was like, one person was like, look, I ain't going to even lie. Like, I ain't even in the county, like, because I can't afford it. But since I travel in, I want my kids to be close. But yeah, so when people say, "Oh, it's people talking," like it ain't. We do need more money, but it needs to be beneficial to the people, and it needs to help the kids. And if it ain't, we don't need any more money. Like, why are we doing that for?
Yeah, and yeah, it goes right in my head and through my bowels and everything. Like I don't care nothing about that either. But I just think that it is weak, and
Yeah.
it has to be pointed out because when you have people who are decision makers with that type of rhetoric, who have the responsibility to ensure that whatever money comes in, that there's academic achievement, you have to
Mm-hmm.
speak truth to power, and you got to call that shit out. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
calling it out. I'm calling it out. It's weak.
Come on now. Sherry Lucas says, our students are more valuable than money, right?
Mhm.
It's important. Like we're not saying it doesn't take money to teach, but if the people who need the money, who need the education, never gets it, we're not going that route. I see Miss Kendall says, my question is, what about kids like mine and ours that already slipped through the system's cracks? I'm gonna tell you, when I be out talking to parents and be at these events, this is one thing I love when it comes to education. They don't care about no Democrat, no Republican, what you look like. They always say, look, the school did great for my kid or the school failed my kid, and they make no apologies about it. They ain't talking about Donald Trump. They ain't talking about Joe Biden. They be talking directly to the leadership in the school.
Directly. Ain't nobody caring about none of that.
None of that. None of that.
If it's gonna move the needle for kids, if it's morally good for kids, if it's gonna make sure that kids are successful, ain't nobody caring about them. When people put their politics
Yep.
before our children's lives, anybody can get it.
Mm-hmm. Anybody can get it. That's
And
when that's when you don't got any race issues because you have somebody who make 1 million and somebody who make 1,000. They coming together. And I see we got, Joyce checking in. Good morning. I see we got Miss Shamice Booker checking in. Good morning. Miss Denise King, cohort. I want to say that was cohort class 10. Thank you for checking in. Like, this is what I'm talking about. I see we got Mr. Trimble checking in. Yvonne is back with us. We got Thomas. Like, we got some things to talk about, guys. And one of the things that we want to do before we jump into some of the other topics, like, we really want to get down to the nitty gritty around this new funding formula, right? One thing that I could appreciate, when we do the fellowship, we talk about what's the state contribution. And one of our organizers says, it's 4,000. And now, as you'll see, it's a different number. It's a larger number. But we're realizing that the resources are now coming. But now that we kept asking for it, it's time to look to see what differences is going to make. And, how much money does it really take to help our kids?
Yeah. And what does those weights really look like?
Yep.
In comparison to the previous formula? Like, what is actually going to be the difference that's going to be made here? And I think the parents are tired of people's ideas, and we want to get down to that foundational question. What is the difference that is going to be? Because that's what we want. We want something different than before.
Amen.
And minus the agendas.
And minus the agenda. I see Miss King on here, and I remember from the fellowship, the conversation we were having, she had an intervention at her school because it was failing. And she still feels with the involvement she has that it is not making a big enough difference. And so parents notice when things are not going right. They notice when more resources are pumped in, because she said the school looks better, but is it educating their kid better? And so Governor Bill Lee unveils the new school funding formula aimed at focusing money directly on students. And I'm going to just go to the bullet point, Sonia, just so parents can see kind of some of the clip notes of what it says. And so it says the governor has complained that the current funding formula is too complicated, but what I've seen and heard thus far isn't exactly a model of clarity. And then it just says the new plan highlights include base funding of $6,860 per pupil, a 25% weight, or an additional, $1,715 per pupil for economically disadvantaged students, anywhere from $1,000, to $10,000 in additional funding for students with unique learning needs. And Saya, I want you to unpack some of this, and I'll do it too. $500 for every student in K through 3 through a $376 million direct funding allocation, $500 per pupil for fourth grade literacy tutoring programs, a new requirement for districts under the Tennessee Literacy Success Act that was passed last year, and $100 million in outcomes-based funding that would award bonuses to districts based on whether a student is reading on grade level by the third grade or meets certain benchmarks on the ACT.
Mm-hmm. People can say that they're going to do something all the time and never have to do it.
Mm-hmm.
My biggest fear is that this formula, this proposal will say that it's going to do something, meaning making sure that the funding goes directly to the student and they never have to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Districts have been known for taking the funds and repurposing them.
Mm-hmm.
That is a nice way to put it.
But talk about that, like break that down, the repurposing part.
It's a lot of educators listening, so I use educators as an example.
Mm-hmm.
Educators have been promised raises, right? We're going to do this at this time, only for that money to be repurposed to something else that somebody else thinks is a priority.
Mm-hmm.
And I use that example because it probably resonates with many of us. If you promised a raise in your household, right? You're depending on that money to live and to do whatever you need to do. Well, I'm afraid that the same thing will happen to children, that they'll
Mm,
be promised certain things, and then that money will be repurposed according to what somebody else feels is the priority, and not what we as families and parents expect our children to get. That is my biggest fear. For far
hmm.
too long, they've said they're going to do something, they never had to do it.
Time, year in and year out. And so you're saying like repurposing is some like, I got a certain allotment for food, um, but I'm going to repurpose some of that food money because I feel like,
I
you
want some
know,
red bottom shoes.
yep. And so I'm going to take part of that and put it into my shoe budget,
Yeah,
repurposing.
because
Mm.
that's what's important to me at the time.
Hmm.
Is for me to get some red bottom shoes.
Hmm. One of the things, and I know it's a little bit off topic, but being in the schools, going to these parent meetings, you start to notice at one point it was like flip flops, and now it's like the Crocs that children are wearing, and it's you can just see the poverty. Like it's hard to see somebody with red bottoms when you got to wear Crocs, and I don't think they're doing it for a fashion statement. I remember my friend and I had to get the Chuck Taylors and treat it as a fashion statement so we won't be laughed at. But it was like, yeah, we couldn't get the Jordans. And that was hard to do. And, we had to come together and say, all right, we're going to be in this together. Like, we're going to get these Chucks.
Yeah. And that's my biggest fear. My biggest fear, the students who are considered disadvantaged, that's Title I students, that's students that live in poverty condensed areas, those students with exceptional needs, Black students in particular, the EL students, like that money, those weights, it says 25%. Is it up to 25%? And then somebody
Mm,
can decide that it needs to be 17. Like, how will that be managed? How do we make sure that the children are actually being authentically weighted and not based on some bias
mm-hmm.
or based on what somebody else thinks? Like, how will this be coded? I am very processy in my mind, because what I know is, if you don't have those protective measures in place to ensure accountability, integrity, and all of those things, when America catches the cold, we catch
Yeah.
the flu.
Yeah.
And I always think about that. When
Yeah.
stuff happens to us, it happens to us bad. COVID. Like, so how do we, where is the integrity? Where is the quality control? Where is the protective measures to make sure that folk is doing what they supposed to do? Because right now I don't have no faith in it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I see Joyce on here. Shout out to Joyce. She put Chucks and Pro Kids. Yeah, everybody remember the Pro Kids. Hey,
That's so
we made
weird.
it fashionable when we know it. Yeah, they didn't cost a lot of money.
My first pair of name brand shoes with them British Knights with the
Come on
purple
now,
back and that thick black heel.
come on now. And Joyce was on the hill with us last week, and thank you, Joyce. Like taking time off of work, like coming on the hill, advocating, sitting in meetings. I mean, that day, Sonya, was big because it allowed our parents to see that this is where the decisions are made. When we think about our local schools, like, yep, decisions are made there, but walking around that huge building, walking around the Capitol, walking underground in them hallways, I think they realized pretty quickly where the money resides. Where the money resides. Okay, that was a tune. But Joyce was one of them who was sitting in. But it was a good day from 9 o'clock. What time did we leave? About 4.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it was important, and I love that our parents had access, and they saw that they had access to real decision makers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm. And so as we get into it, guys, one of the things that we want to transition into, we talked about the student funding formula. That's big. More and more information is going to come out. But another thing that's really dominated the education headlines for the past 2 weeks, is an opportunity for Hillsdale College to have a K through 12 arm in Tennessee. Um, and that propel as we listened and kind of like weighed the options and read the articles on, where it started at, where it is now, and where it's headed. We decided to put out a statement. And Sonny, if you don't mind, I wanna read just part of the statement and really start to break it down because I think it's important
Mm.
to give our point of view, not only for our team, but for the parents that we serve. The thousands of parents who we're meeting, working with, and teaching how to be powerful parent leaders by using their own power.
I would like for you to read the whole statement.
Okay.
I think it's important that the parents get the whole picture because we're speaking our whole truth. And
Mm-hmm.
if you want to read it, I think you should read all of it.
Okay. And what as I pull it up, will you I see Joyce has a comment on there. I want
Yeah,
to.
she said it was very educational, and she's speaking to being up at the Hill. We have public officials who actually don't have a clue about how well ran our charters operate right here in Nashville, so they vote against any positive measures. I think we have, I agree, but I also think that they don't understand that it's not just about a charter school. Like, if there's a traditional school that's being ran well,
Oh yeah.
that is, ensuring children can read, we support that too. And what they don't understand is we have hardly none of that going on. And that
Mm-hmm.
was our purpose of being up there, so let them know, hey, we've got to have opportunities to where we can remove our children from situations where they're not stuck.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't mean that every school is a good school. We support schools that are good schools, and I think it segues us into this conversation.
Yeah. And so the statement says, parents disavow Governor Lee's latest push for charter schools with questionable curriculum. In his annual State of the State address, Governor Bill Lee introduced a plan to flood the state with classical charter schools under management of majority white Christian conservative Hillsdale College out of Michigan. Nashville Propel launched a movement on the premise that every child in the most struggling communities deserves access to excellent schools, no matter the type of school. However, we disavow the use of religion and the guise of informed patriotism to promote choice schools managed by an organization that refuses to see or respect the Black and brown families we serve. We won't be silenced when it comes. We won't be silenced when school district bureaucrat, bu- okay,
Bureaucrats.
bureaucrats, thank you, sacrifice our children to their felon schools, and we refuse to be silenced by a white supremacist ideology that is attempting to co-opt our freedom, right to choose schools that are best for our children, says Sonia Thomas. Hillsdale College teachings are rooted in American exceptionalism, ignoring the painful parts of history rendered at the hands of those Governor Lee and his compatriots seek to glorify. Further, the curriculum ignores the dehumanization of enslaved Black women, men, and children, as well as the truth about the civil rights era and the heroes of the movement. This is about our children, not politics. We demand a school system absent of supremacist and religious doctrine, a system, a school system that focuses on ensuring every child learns to read, something that the state has failed to do for decades. The parents of Nashville Propel call on Commissioner Penny Swan to respond to this calculated attack on Black children in this state, many of whom urgently need excellent choices and a curriculum that is not whitewashed. In the words of James Baldwin, a child cannot be taught by anyone who despises him, and a child cannot afford to be fooled. End quote.
I said what I said. Check this out. Everybody remembers Rosa Parks sitting on the bus during the Birmingham boycott era,
Mm-hmm.
civil rights era. Everybody remembers that picture of Rosa sitting on the bus. The bus wasn't the problem.
Mm-hmm. Bus wasn't the problem.
Back then, that was the way that Black folks travel. They didn't have a lot of cars and things. So the transportation system was their way of getting to and from.
Mm-hmm.
The problem was Black folk had to sit on the back of that bus. See, the bus wasn't the problem. It was the law. It was the racism. It was the operation of that bus that was the problem.
Mm-hmm.
And that is what we're seeing. It is those who are operating this particular charter school who want to whitewash children, who have white supremacist ideology and doctrine.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the charter school problem. It is the operation, the mindset, the racism, the patriotism, the rhetoric
Mm-hmm.
that we totally disavow.
Mm-hmm.
That is not good for Black children. It ain't good for white children. It is not good for anybody. And so we don't support it. And we calling you out, Governor Lee. And having a Black or biracial education commissioner, the expectation is that she would call it out. And since nobody will, we will. We represent Black and brown parents from our most struggling communities. And that's exactly what we're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
So we said what we said.
So we said, and just catching up on some of the comments, Sonia, Joyce says, right, I'd be elated to send our daughter to her own school if they were performing well. Yvonne talks about European American model as we think about the curriculum. Shami said, I totally agree. These principles of religion based schools do not respect nor understand our Black kids or any other culture. It is definitely portraying white supremacy. And I know Ms. Booker knows all too well. Crystal Evans, systematic programming not acceptable. On which y'all on that? Kendall says, mic drop. Shami's back. I personally experienced that and will not stand for it or subject it to my kid. And Yvonne is talking about, yes. I mean,
And these schools, they're actually proposing these schools like 50 to 100, not even in Davidson County and Shelby County. So I want to be clear about that. But surrounding counties, they are proposing it. And just the idea of it, we're speaking on behalf of all families. And I was just telling John right before this call that I think one of the places is Montgomery County.
Mm-hmm.
That's where my family is from. I have children in my family who are Black, who are biracial. I don't want none of them to be taught any of that.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's personal to us as Black people, but I think it's also something that white people need to stand up to, who say that they stand with us as Black people. So I need to hear y'all too speak against this. I need our white friends to speak against this also.
Allies. Yep.
Our friends.
All right. Charles all the way in Oakland says, hey, y'all keep fighting the fight. Our babies need it. And we know y'all going through the same thing in Oakland. Charles, we saw y'all got some resource reinforcement that's coming through that's really going to help you guys dig deep and fight that good fight as well. And from Nashville to Oakland, we with you too. Let's reach and propel. So yeah, and I know we got the article posted, and so if some of you guys parents share it out, please. Like we need for our community to understand it, because we don't want to be co-op. Like, we support any school, but we also that does well for our kids, but we also don't want to get into the game of rubber stamping things, because that's where gets us in trouble. Like all skin folk ain't kin folk. Like same with this, just because they supporting a choice school, don't mean we're gonna get on board, because right now the details are hidden.
Yes. Yes. And it's important, like the is it that's the saying, the devil's in the detail.
Mm-hmm.
Um it's important to know those details. But it's also important for those around us in the education world to understand that we understand the assignment. We know that God placed Propel here, and I say stop us.
Mm-hmm.
Stop us. Um we will continue to push people, to hold them accountable, to speak truth to power, to make sure that people are making the best decision for all students, that they don't have their own political agenda. We won't be co-opted. You damn right, we won't.
Mm-hmm.
But we also won't be held captive in struggling schools.
Mm-hmm.
So this is for everybody on both sides of the aisle. Anybody can get it. Y'all
Yeah.
all can get it when it comes to our children. Y'all all can.
Anybody can get it. And just going back to that sign, one of the things that we didn't talk about, I mean, the last 2 years have been really big for us in terms of having like the opportunity to participate in a movement, on a national movement where we were thinking about the presidential primaries, but also locally, right before Corona hit, as we were going to advocate for parents. And then another national piece, like February, for the last 3 years have been really important for us. And, of course, last year we did the disrupt and dismantle. And the gift and the curse is like the hard work, the sweat equity, it pays off, and you get a little notoriety, but it only gives you the ability to get your message out. Like, how has this journey been? Like, right now is March 2nd, but how has February been for you? And like, what are some of the things you're most proud of?
It's been hard, man.
Yeah.
It's been hard. Sometimes, like you said, you got a gift and a curse.
Mhm.
And when I say that I lose sleep, I do. Like, that's a true statement for me. It's my truth. And when I look across education, especially when you know that God put you on assignment, and that's always the thing
Mhm.
that you have to wake up to every day, and you don't even take care of yourself, because that is what God's will is for your life. And a lot of you probably understand what I'm saying, because God has an assignment for you to do too. Nothing else matters to me. Of course, my family matters and all of that, but nothing else matters. You're talking about a woman who walked away from being a nurse, who dreamed of being a nurse like her mom, rubbing my mom's stockings when she came in for work with all that white in her nursing hat, to somebody who walked away from 24 years of healthcare because God said do that. People have called me crazy, Sonia, and I don't care. I don't care about names. Like, that don't bother me, because our thoughts are not God's thoughts. And I know that, and I understand that. And I realize that my journey through life has prepared me for this very moment. And that's why people can't bother me. They can't stop me. There's nothing they can do to me that's going to hurt me or make me sad. You come after me. You can shoot me. You cut my tires. It's not going to matter when you understand what you understand. And so, going through Black History Month and thinking about all the success and all of those things that our forefathers, our foremothers have put in place, having to accept that I have to go through those same things, some of those same challenges, it's a journey. And so when I think about what is happening to our children, I think about what I need to do and what I need to continue doing to make sure that you as parents understand your power. I hope that I inspire y'all. I hope that our organization is having an impact with John and Torvis and Tierra and Thomas and Rhea and Danielle. Like, my prayer is every day that we get up and we make sure that we change the lives of somebody. But we also teach people that we have to do this together, that we can't do this alone. And as we go into this month, is Women's History, Black Women's History Month is what I'm going to call it. I think about all of the powerful women that are in our circle: Sarah Carpenter and Mary Bell and Crystal and Kim. And I think about all of these people that we are surrounded by, who love us and care about us, and the people that support us. But when I think about what's going on, even with this Hillsdale stuff, my question is, for those who don't have to walk this journey, where the hell are you? That's what's on my mind, John. We've been through a lot. We've had a lot of successes, but until children are reading above and at grade level, I'm not going to be happy until that happens. And then I can close my eyes. Then I can close my eyes and sleep.
Yeah, yeah, and they're showing you a lot of love, Sonya. Like it is, like it's the gift and the curses. It's tears of joy, tears of anger. I was looking for it. I mean, even Joe Biden. I just remember us meeting up with him and demanding like that he listen to real parents, and you know he turned out to be he lended his ear. He got down on a bended knee. He talked with us. One of his people kept in contact, but we didn't get that meeting because we wrote him a letter and patiently waited. You know, time was out for allowing people to use time to do the right thing, because we waiting forever. And the meeting turned great, but it was only after a demand, and it was only after, hell no, we won't go. We can do this the easy way or the hard way.
We blocked his bus.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that? We
Mm-hmm.
blocked his bus. We slept on buses,
Mm-hmm.
fighting for all children in this country. You're right. We
To
made them
make
listen.
sure we weren't pimped by a narrative from special interests.
That's
It was
right.
just it was just important, and I just think what we're doing here, and I know it's some things that's happening right now in the school system where leadership may not agree, but the rank and file are like all in, and some of that stuff will come out pretty soon. But that's why we do this work. Like, and just seeing you guys on here again, just giving a shout out to the parents who are just rocking with us. Like, Cheryl is popping back on. Yvonne is becoming consistent. Joyce is just a force. Y'all are gonna hear some things about Joyce's voice in a few weeks or a few months. So that's coming. But always knowing she had power, but like using the partnership with other parents and amplifying her voice. Like, that's what this work is about, and I know Miss Booker is off and on, but just listening to her story, listening to her journey, and watching her, like, no surrender, no retreat. And I'd be damned if somebody do my son wrong type of attitude. And that's what you gotta have. Like, I love y'all until y'all mess over my kid, and then we ain't friends. Like, what you thinking, we friends?
And I don't understand that, John. Like, it's folk that be coming at us about, where we send our kids to school, and they wouldn't for 1 second send their kid there. Such
At all.
hypocrites.
At all.
I don't understand that. Like, well, yeah, I do. I do. It's the politics.
It's the politics.
It's the politics. It's the lack of empathy and love. And I'm sorry, but When it come to my kids, friend or foe,
Friend or foe.
you're gonna get it.
Anybody can get it.
I trusted for too long and I was so betrayed, and I still feel betrayed. And I never want another parent to feel the way that I feel. Never.
Well, now all of that is starting to manifest. And I think it's because you can only fight on the wrong side for so long. You know, there's things going on in Russia and Ukraine. Don't want to get deeply up into that. But what it looks like on the outside is that, you know, one country thought it was going to be an easy victory, and they have run into a challenge because when you got like willful folks who are just willing to fight, like you're not gonna take them easy.
Nope. And our message has never changed.
Never change.
It ain't never changed. I don't see it changing no time soon. It remains the same. And that's a picture of us all in South Carolina somewhere. Shoot, I think we don't even know where we was at. We were so tired.
Right.
Meeting with the president of the United States and let him know we wasn't playing about our children. And he got a little snazzy at first. But y'all see at that time when he got snazzy, how we gathered around him, and Joe changed his whole attitude. I remember.
Yep.
Like, well, I think somebody had like, whoa, wait a minute.
Yep. It was getting tense. It was getting tense.
It was getting tense up in there. And we met with Bernie. Bernie, you know, Bernie can get small. Hold up, wait a minute, Bernie. You're talking about people that love their babies.
Yeah.
And will be respected.
Yeah. I had to tell Bernie, like, this not what you want. Like, you know, we agree with some of the things that you talk about, but at the end of the day, like a general message that ain't gonna help our kids, we just not gonna stand by and let it happen. And then, you know, after the tense conversation, this is what it turned into. Like, it turned into something that was like, okay, y'all are good. Like, y'all know what the hell y'all talking about. And he got on that bended knee.
Man, I wish you had that picture when I cussed at him. I said, damn. And he fell out laughing.
Yep.
That was funny, though. I ain't never seen no man his age drop on their knee like that.
Hey, he said he in shape.
He said he in shape, did he?
You're running for president.
That flow.
But guys, that's the type of fun. Like, it's the fire and the fun, and that's what we want to continue. You know, to be honest, we've had a systemic, generational, forever type of problem in our community, the Black and brown community, and in the very near future, we're going to be coming back, Yvonne and Cheryl and Shamice and Joyce to partner together, because these literacy levels, these literacy rates, it's hard to move forward when you can't read.
What you gonna learn?
What are you gonna learn? And in our community, the numbers they give us every year on these pieces of paper tell us that our kids, they tell us every single year, nope, your kids can't read. Nope, we're gonna try something different, but this year your kids can't read. Nope, can't read yet. And enough is enough. I mean, we look at it. And Sonya, just going back to having that conversation with the lunch lady, right? They feed the kids, right? They feed the kids. And meanwhile, while they're feeding the kids, they're struggling to stay above water.
Yep, they are. They are. I mean, we're talking about like the sense of urgency. We need to be thinking about, you know, I'm 46 years old, right? You know, a lot of the people that I came in healthcare with are going out, retiring, and so we need more nurses and doctors and lawyers, you know, and we need Black children to be in those positions, in order to continue fighting on behalf of Black people. And if we're not ensuring that, if the only place they're going is from school to prison, we're in trouble.
Yeah.
We're in trouble. I had a phone call this morning in a whole county away that even houses some of metro students, where you got these students who have been
Mm-hmm.
they won't let me out, who can't read. And y'all, they in like an old concentration camp.
Wow.
The people who run the facility is like they prisoners. We're talking about somebody's baby. They said they prisoners. And they not even letting the school system come in and educate them children.
Wow.
That's a conversation I had this morning, eating my Sonic breakfast burrito and drinking a tea.
Wow.
That's a real conversation. We're talking about our friends' kids being locked up in the juvenile detention center. We're talking about some of our friends who've been at Riverbend maximum security all their life.
Yeah.
Who go in there and learn how to read. Why you got to sit in the prison to learn how to read?
You got to go to jail.
Thank you. This is some real stuff, man. Like, this is some real scary stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to fight like hell to make sure that your child doesn't end up, make sure nobody else's child ends up in that situation. And we got to do that together, because it's going to take all of us to fight against the system, because they fighting to protect it.
You know, Kanye can be a little out there at times, but he got a new song out where it says, you know, people do 25 to life and won't do 4 years in college. But it's like the conditioning, right? Like when something is just conditioned in your brain, and the secret to life, the key to life in this country is like they value what type of education that you get. You know, I ain't gonna never forget it. And this is my story, as embarrassing as it is, but I remember being a regional field director for the governor of Tennessee, going to Davidson and every county to touch Nashville. I mean, burning my gas, I mean, sweat equity. And then I remember an intern, I was at TSU, the intern was in the office and she was making more than me. And I could never fathom how I was in charge of leading something big, something that if we didn't have, it would have been embarrassing. And meanwhile, the intern who got coffee and donuts was making more than me. I never forget that.
And it has nothing to do with intellect.
Nah, hell no.
Y'all are going to see, we're going to be in this national documentary. Y'all going to see a story about a man who went to school, K through 12, who went to college for 4 years, graduated college, taught school, and couldn't read a word. Unbelievable. Had nothing to do with his intellect. His story, it just resonated. I was a struggling reader. I'm smart. I'm going to say it, because most people can't say that about themselves. But I'm learning to say good things about myself instead of what other people say about me. I'm smart. Tell your children they're smart. You tell yourself you're smart. There's nothing conceited or that's not honorable about that. That's humble. You are smart. I am talking to parents with power who are smart. That man had intellect. Reading is not normal. My friend Sherry's on here. She don't talk to y'all about it. It's not normal for the brain to comprehend. This is read me, mom.
Mm-hmm.
If I don't care how many books you read to them children, I don't care how many books Dr. Seuss make. If you don't teach them the foundational skills of reading, they ain't gonna read.
Mm-hmm.
Period. If you don't make sure that teachers know how to teach those foundational skills, you can send them to school from kindergarten to 12th grade, and they not know how to read. What kind of bullshit is that? It is inhumane. It is a civil rights violation. It is genocide. I'm trying to find the right words to put to it. All y'all should be mad. Everybody should be angry. We should be flooding the streets.
Yep. So get ready, guys. Like, as we get ready to wrap up, Joyce is about to hit that stage, and she got her peoples with her. Ms. Moffin is about to hit that stage. Shamice, like all of the other parents. Shoot, Sherry, she already done made it Hollywood, and she came from a place where she was connecting with us and she was grinding. And Sherry, like don't forget about the little people as you keep making it big and bigger. So
Mhm. My
check
daughter
in
said
with us.
I'm too loud.
Was that?
My daughter said I'm too loud.
When you passionate, hey, you what they say, you're loud and proud.
She said, she texted me, she said, "You too loud." She asked me, "Can I turn the passion down?"
but guys, let's do this. Just be ready. Like I said, some things are coming out. And I think today was really important to separate ourselves from just people who talk about school choice and stand alone if need be we just talk about good quality education that's political free. I think that was important.
I think that's important to separate racism
Mm-hmm.
from good actions.
Mm-hmm.
That's what that is. Has nothing to do with school choice.
Mm-hmm.
That's pure. That's pure racism. And now they've named themselves patriots. I got your damn patriot, and I hope it
Mm-hmm.
said it all in that statement.
Yeah. Watch out, beware. But check it out. We got the link if you want to read more into it and really start to understand why we take the positions that we take. But look forward to seeing you guys soon. We kick off cohort, our fellowship class 13 tomorrow at 6 o'clock. Very excited. If you know parents who may benefit from sitting in the class learning about the educational landscape, learning about fundings and budget and timelines, reach out to one of our organizers, Tierra Thomas or Torvis or myself. It's an awesome opportunity. We've had really good parents go through. As you see, some of them are on here, access denying it with us every Wednesday. But thank you guys. And Sonya, any last words?
Access denied, access taken.
Mm. Access denied, access taken. I'll leave it at that. See
John,
you
let me
guys.
wear your Black Panther vest.
Come on now.
You lost your head, didn't you?
I did. I
We're gonna
did.
go. I'm gonna get you one on Amazon.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.